Perfect. So, welcome everybody to ChatGPT Basics, brought to you by myself, Hector Garcia, in collaboration with CPA Academy. Today, we're going to quickly do a quick introduction. We'll talk about this series. This is actually a multi-part series. So, we'll allude to both series. This will be part one, and then we'll talk about part two briefly. And what we're going to be covering today is ChatGPT Basics. We're going to be doing a complete walkthrough of the chat interface. And we're going to be laser focused on the free version of ChatGPT. There's a lot of stuff that the paid version has, but we're going to cover most of those features in part two, in the more advanced part of this series. So we're going to be focusing on the free version. Whether you have the free version or the paid version of ChatGPT, this will be 100% relevant because the features will be available in both. We're going to be discussing web search. Okay, ChatGPT has web search built in. We're going to be discussing the differences between working within the general knowledge or the trained knowledge and a combination of the web search. That dynamic is really important. Then we're going to talk about the whole Omni feature. So ChatGPT recently, as recent as May 2024, they made a complete revamp, a new release of the model. It's called ChatGPT 4.0. O stands for Omni, which features audio, images, document reading and interpretation. You're going to see it's tons of fun to discuss all these different things that you can do. And then we're going to discuss a little bit of the concepts of ChatGPT memory or custom instructions. This is more for the customizable experience. And that introduction is going to be a great segue to part two of this series as well. So about myself really quick, I'm a CPA based out of Florida. I've been practicing bookkeeping and tax since 2009. I'm very blessed to have a team that now manages most of the traditional accounting work, so I can concentrate on technology research and education for my fellow accounting professionals. So this is one of the things I enjoy the most in the world. I'm also an advanced certified QuickBooks Pro advisor and a member of the QuickBooks Solution Provider Network. Our firm was actually named Partner of the Year, so we're very proud of that. I have a podcast called the Unofficial QuickBooks Accountants Podcast. The links are on the slide if you want to check that out. I also have a YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. And as a happy consequence of me doing tons of tech research in the last couple of years, I developed an app called Right Tool for QuickBooks Online. You definitely want to check that out as well. And I'm the host of a conference. We did an annual conference last year. We're doing the conference again. It's called Reframe 2024. I'm going to do a quick plug for that. And there's my email. So anything that I don't cover or wasn't clear in this webinar, just email me. I'll try to find the resources for you. Really quick, inside CPA Academy, you will have access to part two of this series. It's a perfect add-on. Like I wish this webinar was 2 hours long. And the way we did it is just breaking it out in two parts. So part two, there's the link in the slides. We're going to be covering the paid editions, team collaboration for small firms. We're going to be talking about the desktop app, the mobile app. We're going to be talking about creating images. We're going to add more context to the concept of memory and custom instructions. And then we're going to do a couple of really cool examples of doing custom GPT. So you definitely don't want to miss part two as well. You want to be in both. So a quick plug for my conference. Come to Hollywood, Florida, October 16th to October 19th. Myself and my brother Carlos, we're hosting this conference. The theme is Influential Conversations for Accountants. We want to explore how we as a profession and individual accounting professionals can get better at communicating our value, communicating with our employees, communicating with other colleagues, communicating with partners, software companies. How can we become more influential through our communication? So it's going to be a 3-day immersive experience all about that. There's actually going to be a fun pre-conference day where we're going to talk about ChatGPT and all the technology updates. So we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll spend 2.5 days discussing influential conversations for accountants. Reframe 2024, there's coupon codes exclusive for CPA Academy with early bird discounts. And again, if you have any questions about the conference or this series, there's my email. All right, let's get started. So let's go through a complete walkthrough of ChatGPT Basics. Now, the slides that I put together here, I'm very proud of these slides. I've been doing this for about 1.5 years. It's a complete cheat sheet of everything that ChatGPT does. So you can print this out. This could be your reference manual. You definitely want to save the live slides link because when the screens change, I go back into the slides. and I update all the screens. So if the screens slightly change, I go back and do that even months after the webinar is over. So you definitely want to just keep in mind to keep the link to the live. So you have the PDF version, but the live one as well. I'm not going to go through the slides in the webinar. I'm just going to pass each one so you can see how detailed they are. I mean, this is a complete manual. Probably the only thing that exists out there that is a step-by-step manual pointing out what every single thing inside ChatGPT does. So we're actually going to do all this live. I'm going to share my screen, but I just want to make sure that you have, that the slides are a really good reference. Okay, so I have ChatGPT open. Again, this is the free version of ChatGPT. This will be relevant for both the free and the paid version. Let's start with the left navigation panel. Now, when you first create an account in ChatGPT, you're not going to have all these historical chats. These are all the chats that I was doing earlier. This is just me experimenting with different things. Up here in the top left, there's the close sidebar. So once you no longer need access to the sidebar, you just collapse that so you can concentrate on the current chat at hand. If you happen to be looking at a particular chat, you've been working on a particular chat, and you're like, I want to do a new chat, I want to start from scratch, all you have to do is click on this little ChatGPT icon in the top that has sort of a new chat icon or the new chat fixed icon on the top. Either one will get you to a new chat, brand new chat, okay? Under here, you're going to see what's called the custom GPTs or the GPT store. So on top of working with GPT generically, millions of people generate custom GPTs that you can use in different contexts, okay? And you can add those custom GPTs and work within those custom GPTs only, which actually allows a lot more context. Like, for example, creating a custom GPT that's only for tax or only for accounting, that sort of thing. So once you have all these live chats here, you can actually click on the three little dots, and then you can choose to share, rename. So ChatGPT gives each chat a title. You can rename the title. You can archive it, basically removes it from here, but it doesn't delete it, or permanently delete it. Okay. On the top right, you're going to see the icon for your account. If you click on that, you're going to have options to My GPT. So these are all the custom GPTs that you have pinned or added to your list. Then we have Customized ChatGPT. When you click on that, that's where you create custom instructions. We're going to get to that. And then the other option here is settings. So I'm going to go through the settings so you know exactly everything that you can do and change inside ChatGPT. On the general settings, you can change dark mode or light mode, depending on how you like to work, or tie it to the system. If your system, like for example, I know a lot of Macs change from light to dark depending on what time it is. So you can tie it to the system, which is really interesting too. Then here it says always show code doing data analyst. I would turn that off. Once we do data analysis on the advanced version, we're going to see the live code, and you're going to get to choose whether you want to see the live code or not. Now you can choose here if you want the language to be English. Like for example, if you only speak English, then you're telling ChatGPT that everything you're doing is in English. But for example, like me, sometimes I'll do something in Spanish and English, and I'll go back and forth. So if you do auto detect, it will actually switch from English to Spanish on the fly immediately, depending on what you write to them. Any chats that you have archived, you can click here and manage, and you can see the list of all your archived chats. You can archive all. So if I click on archive all chats and click on confirm archive, all of the live chats that used to show here, now they're archived. So they're not bothering me anymore. They're not deleted. I could always go back and look at them, but they're not bothering me anymore. I know many times when we're experimenting, we'll have all sorts of junk chats in there that we'll be working on. Let's go back into settings here, and then there's delete all chats if you want to get rid of all your chat history. Speech, you get to choose which is the default voice that you want to use if you want ChatGPT to essentially talk to you, okay? I would have to, we'll talk about the voice stuff maybe on the advanced version, but you can literally hit play and have ChatGPT read it to you, and then there's multiple voices you can try. If you click play, you can hear the actual voice. I don't have it hooked up to the microphone, so you won't hear it. Then let's go back into the settings. Then we have data controls. This is really important. Accounting professionals get really mixed signals about exactly what does ChatGPT look like when it comes to privacy. So here where it says improve model for everyone, if you actually click on check, that means ChatGPT will use your chat, will use the interactions that you've had with your chat to train its model, to make the model better. If you turn this off, then it won't it won't do that. So that's actually a really important piece. Some of us are just playing with ChatGPT, so we'll turn it off. Some of us will be inadvertently working with some private client information. I'm not going to give ChatGPT social security numbers, but I might give private client information like client name or something like that to add more context. And I may want to turn that off if I don't want my information to be shared. Now, once you share a live link, here where it goes to manage, you can see all of your live links that you have shared. And if you have any live links that you have shared, you can actually click there on view source chat and it will open the link that you have shared. We'll talk about that. Before you delete an account, you can actually click on export and it'll do a data dump of all your chats. So you definitely want to do that. It's sort of like your own backup, and then you can click on delete and remove your account completely. Here in the builder profile, this is kind of being built at the moment. This has to do with the custom GPTs. But when you build custom GPTs, especially with the paid version, you're able to create basically your profile. And this is one way you can promote yourself or your firm by creating solutions to the world that maybe pertain to your area of specialty. And then under security, we can enable multi-factor authentication if you want to use like a cell phone or something like that, or email challenge question, that sort of thing, to be able to log in. And then you can click on log out of all devices if you use a friend's computer, log into ChatGPT and you forgot to log out. If you click on log out all, it will log all the devices out, including the one that you're in, and it'll force you to log back in. Now, for people that don't have a ChatGPT account, all they have to do is go to chatgpt.com and then click on where it says sign up. So chatgpt.com, click on sign up. Okay, and then in here, you can create an account simply by putting your email address and then follow the prompts and you'll create your account. Once your account is set up, and especially if you're using like a Gmail or a Microsoft or an Apple ID, you can simply use your existing email credentials or your Apple ID credentials, that sort of thing, to log in immediately. So it makes it really, really easy for you. Okay. All right. So now we're in ChatGPT. You understand where everything is. Let's talk about contextually, how this works. So the first thing you're going to get is you're going to get a kind of like a quick sample. Like here, you can get started with some ideas. And this is how ChatGPT kind of eases you into the whole concept of chatting with it. So you can click on any of these, and this is basically a suggested prompt. But the most important thing is you will start ChatGPT by giving it a prompt, by just saying, I want this type of information. Okay. So you start by saying, I want this type of information. We can start with something very accounty, like maybe a tax question. So we can say something like, explain section 179 for me. Let's do a section 179 for me in a way that a complete accounting tax neophyte would understand. Okay, and you not just ask the question, you also say how you want the answer. So you press enter, and then ChatGPT will start giving you an answer. So this is again contextually based on how I asked it. It's putting together the answers for me. So it's giving me, what is section 179? Why is it important? How does it work? There are limits, deduction limits. It's all explaining it to you in a very easy way to understand. Even gives you an example. Imagine a small bakery bought a new oven. They can take the whole $10,000 worth of the oven and take a tax deduction for that year. So how you ask for the question actually changes contextually how ChatGPT is going to give you the answer. So let me start a new chat, and then I'm gonna ask the same question, but a little bit different. So I'm gonna say, I am an accountant that does mostly audit work, no tax experience. Please explain. Same question, right? Explain section 179 for me. Okay, so I'll press enter, and you're gonna see the answer is gonna be different. Okay, because I contextually said, give it to me in a different format. Okay, I'm a different viewer, I'm a different reader, right? So then you should give me a different type of answer. So now the answer that it's going to give you might be a little bit more technical. It might actually start throwing out some numbers. Notice that the first version of this didn't talk about limits or numbers. Didn't want to. Oh, maybe okay, it actually did, but it didn't start with that. Like it started with what is it? Why is it important? How does it work? Right? So it kind of it contextually understands how you're trying to ask the question. This one goes straight into numbers really quick, and then maybe talks about spending caps. It just starts to get a little bit more technical. Okay. Now the other important thing that you need to understand about ChatGPT is that the first version of ChatGPT that went to the public, it was trained through September of 2021. That was the first chunk of training, and then for like a couple of years before it was released, early 2023, or I believe late 2024. The amount of general knowledge that ChatGPT had was limited to September 2021. Now, they did a recent refresh, and now ChatGPT has more updated knowledge. And one of the best ways to kind of know, like, where is ChatGPT on the knowledge is you can ask it. You can say, up to when is your knowledge training? Or something like that. You can actually ask ChatGPT. So whether you're watching this today live while the webinar is happening, or you're watching it later when this, with the recording, you can ask this question, and this date might change. October 2023. We're recording this summer of 2024. So we're only like 9 months away, which is actually not bad at all. So that's like a really important piece. So, and like ChatGPT, again, when you ask the same question in the future, it might tell you, oh, my knowledge is up to date, in 2024 or something like that. So it won't be long until they figure out a way to keep this stuff sort of in real time. However, even though it's October 2023, what it's telling me now, what all this is, I can actually ask, any changes to the law up to today, or let's say May 2024, something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna hit enter, and then this is actually it actually knows and understands. Okay, you've triggered me to look for information beyond my trained knowledge. Okay, so beyond my trained knowledge. So this is going to go beyond my trained knowledge, and it's going to search multiple websites and then combine its core knowledge with the information that it saw on the website. If you actually see right here where it says search 6 sites and you click on the drop down, it actually tells you all the sources that it read. So it went to Bing, section 179 changes. It went to the IRS. It went to this website called Plantemoran, I don't know what that is. And then it went to this website, section179.org. So it's telling you, I went to all these websites, and actually you can click on any of these to see what the source is. You can click on it and it'll open a new tab and take you to the source, kind of acknowledging this is where I got the information from, or this is where I got the update from. So we can collapse that, and then we can see, for the tax year 2024, there are some changes. Here's the information, and it actually gives you quick links to all the sources. This has been significantly improved from ChatGPT in the earlier times. There was a lot of concern about ChatGPT, quote, hallucinating, making stuff up. Now ChatGPT combines the power of the web, searches stuff, and it could still be wrong, because you can still search something on the web and the top 5 things that show up could still be wrong, because there's nobody really owns right or wrong. I mean, this is always open to interpretation, but it will update itself with current knowledge by doing a simple search. Now, again, depending on your account, depending on your version, if you have the free, if you have the pro, if they've released the new updates, the whole concept of when is up to date by, it's going to be a variable moving target. So it will be either way. Now, this is because I'm in the United States. This is all assuming this is all United States based, but let's say you're in Canada, and you can say, I am in Canada. What does the CRA say about that, for example? So ChatGPT just expands within the context of US only. Most of the users are in the US. I think it knows that I'm in the US contextually based on my geolocation or whatever. But then it went in there and it says, there is an equivalent to section 179 and then it kind of talks about that. I don't know anything about Canadian tax, but it's just sort of kind of like expanding the limits. It's not just limited to IRS. This used the whole web, everything that's available on the web. And then we see like the actual sites that are being used to research. Okay. So you get to see what the sites are to research. You could probably press a little more and say, only give me data from this specific website. You could probably do a little bit more of that. Okay. Now, once you're chatting with it, there's a couple of really interesting things you can do within the chat. So down here, we have read out loud. So if I click on that, and you won't hear that on the live webinar, but it will actually talk to you. So like if you actually click on play, there that read out loud, and you have your microphone on. Actually, let's see if we can do that. Let me just see if we can get a little bit fancy here, and see if we can somehow pull it off where we can show the audio live. Let's see. Okay, just doing some live tweaking to the webinar here. Nope. Okay, I'm not gonna insist because I don't know why it's not playing through my speakers, but I think that you know exactly what I mean. Like this is, you hit play, you'll play to your speakers, and you'll be able to hear it. Now, there's a little button here that says copy. So if you wanted to copy this chat and put it on Microsoft Word or Google Docs or whatever, you can do that. It copies it to your clipboard. There's also regenerate. So if you didn't like this answer, and you wanted to ChatGPT to sort of try again, you can come down here and click on regenerate. Now that triggers a whole bunch of things inside ChatGPT, but I'm going to click on regenerate here, and it'll regenerate the answer. So it'll give you a different version of the same answer, like sort of, or search again, or sort of start over. And sometimes it'll give you a slightly different approach to the answer. Like it knows that maybe the first version of the answer wasn't satisfactory, you didn't like it enough to keep it. So it'll try a slightly different approach. Look, it maybe checked a couple of other websites. See, it went through more websites and got more information. So, hey, I guess the user wasn't satisfied. I'm going to get more information. But now what's really cool about it is now you actually get to help train the model. So at this point, if you actually hit better, you actually sending feedback to ChatGPT and saying, hey, this version of the answer was better, so I like it. I like it better, and then the model gets better. Okay. If you don't like the answer, you click on bad response, and also you get to give them more feedback and say, hey, I don't like the sources that were cited. You give them that feedback, and then ChatGPT gets a live feedback from you. Now you're gonna see live here. It says 2 of 2, so they're sort of in parallel. There's kind of like two chats, going on. So we have, this version of the answer, right? This is that version 2 of the answer, and then I can go back to version 1 of the answer. So if I wanted to continue the thread with version 1, I can simply just click on 1. If I want to continue the thread with version 2, I could continue with that one. So either or, you got the complete choice. And the other thing you can do on the fly is if you have multiple access to models, and this is something that's going to be a moving target. There has been maybe 7 or 8 different models that have been released since ChatGPT became public. And they're always going to be testing ChatGPT 5 and ChatGPT 6 and ChatGPT 7. So if you want to try multiple models, if it allows you, like here, it's not allowing me to go back to the older model, but you can change, the models that it's using. And the model is kind of like the engine that drives the answers when you chat with ChatGPT. Okay. Now down here on the left, again, I could switch back and forth to both chats. I could change, as I mentioned earlier, I could change the name of this chat. So I'm going to put here, I'll just put here CRA Canada section 179. So that's just the title for me to use as a reference. So that now I know I can quickly access, okay, I want to look at this one, I want to look at that one. So I can quickly go to the one that I want to go to. Okay, and then I can obviously archive any of these. Now I can also share it. So if I click on share, and then I click on create link, and then there's a couple of interesting things here. If I click on make chat discoverable, it actually becomes available to the general public. Anybody that searches, CRA/Canada section 179 or whatever, they'll be able to find this link. I don't have to make it public. Okay, I can just leave it private like this. I can copy the link, and then I can email that to someone. In the live chat, I'll paste it. So if you're if you're watching the webinar live, not the recorded version, you can see in the live chat, I put a little link there, and you can click on that. You can jump straight into that chat, so you can actually continue the chat that I was in, which is pretty interesting too. So it's pretty interesting dynamic for you to be able to share any of your chats. You can also click on the share link on the top right. It does the same thing. So either click on the three little dots on the left navigation bar, or click on the right, and you'll be able to share those links. As I mentioned earlier, if I go into the settings and I go into my data controls, there's going to be a place where I can manage my live links. And if I want to take any of these down, I can take them down. So you have a history of every single chat that you have shared live, or at least you have created a link to share live, and then it's up to you to email that, text, DM those links to someone so they can check out your links. You can't quite collaborate where you're both chatting at the same time. The team version of ChatGPT allows collaboration, but this is just for you to send the results of your chat to whoever you wanna share this with. Okay, another really cool thing about ChatGPT is called contextual replies. So if I'm looking at anything specific, in the response, and I want to expand the conversation of that particular response. Like, for example, off-the-shelf software. I don't know what that means. What does ChatGPT mean by this? So I can just select the specific piece of information from the answer. I can click on reply, and then what you do is call this a contextual reply, and we can say, what is this? Okay, and then basically all you're saying, hey, from your answer, what exactly did you mean by off-the-shelf software? And I will just deep dive on that specific thing. Okay, and you can even go a little bit further. So you can do, let's say, for example, widely available, and I can say, in tax terms, what does this mean? Okay, and then it just goes a little bit deeper in terms of contextually in tax terms, what does widely available mean? So this very interesting way that you can just continue a simple linear conversation, or you can deep dive into any piece of the answer for that. Okay, so let's go back to the slides here. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. So we did the slideshow here. So we did cover everything that's in the slides. Beautiful thing. Oh, yeah, one more thing that's worth mentioning is the live editing. So for example, let's say I didn't like the way I asked that question. Maybe it didn't give me the specific answer I want. I can just click on edit and say, what does the IRS or US tax code say about this? Okay, and then essentially I'm just editing my answer on the fly. Click on send. That way I don't kind of mess up my chat with information that maybe I didn't want. So instead of just asking the question sequentially, let me just go back and revise the answer. So the context window of all the data that's being used, it's a little bit shorter. So here's its version of that. And then I can say, and again, really important, doesn't seem like anything was searched on the web specifically with this. And you would know, like, it would actually say search in the web up here in the top. So you can trigger search in the web by saying, can you search the web? Okay, for updates or something like that. Or say search the web for sources. Okay, so the minute you say something like search the web, give me an update, find sources, it would actually then do the work for you. It would actually do the search. So look, so you can click here and search sites, and it tells you exactly what the sources are, where it's getting information from, and then it's going to give you the answer again with some sources. And they're not always perfect. This is just a great start, and I promise you, this will be the worst and the dumbest ChatGPT will ever be. So like as time goes and this technology gets better and better and better, this is going to be just scarily, beautifully powerful. Now, when you have the free version, ChatGPT will throttle you. So like there's so much you can do until it tells you, hey, by the way, you reached your limit you'll need to have a paid version of ChatGPT to be able to continue. Okay, so that's gonna happen because the free version is a preview version. If you're using ChatGPT commercially or professionally, you probably should be considering using the paid version. So for the live webinar, I'm going to switch to the paid version. I'm not going to show any of the paid version features, but I'm going to switch to that just so I can continue teaching the class. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we have on the slides, and the slides kind of help me and guide me. So here's a cheat sheet on like the kind of the words that you can use to do that. And let's talk about some of the more some of semi-advanced features you get with ChatGPT 4.0. So I'm going to switch over to my other account, which I am paying for. That way, I'm not limited in terms of total amount of data I could use. I believe the paid version is either $20 or $25. I don't remember exactly how much it is, but that's about what I'm paying. I can actually go into the billing section and tell you exactly how much that is. So we will somewhere in my settings. Where are my settings? Where are my billing settings? So I can see exactly how much I'm paying for. Let's see, workspace here, and I click on billing. So I have the team version, and I have myself and my brother use it. So we're paying $30 a month each for a 2-user team version. But I believe that the non-team version, it's either $20 or $25. So it gives you an idea for what the paid version costs. Okay, so let's talk about what's called the Omni features. So the Omni features are you being able to interact with ChatGPT with data, okay, or have it create data, or have it interpret data. So I can say something like, build a table with random customer names, address, and balances. So I can import into a QuickBooks Play file. I'm just kind of showing you like some real applications of like how you get ChatGPT to like sort of build data for you. So you're gonna see this thing that says analyzing, and anytime you see analyzing, that's called the this is the data analysis part of ChatGPT. In this case, it just built a random data set. Now, anytime that you have a data table like this, you're going to see two little links here in the top. One says download data table. So if I click on download data table, it will literally give me a CSV file with the data that it was processing. So let me open the CSV file so you can see it really quick. Here we go. So there's the CSV file it created, a bunch of just fake data, of course. And the other really cool piece of this is the analysis. So if you click here, it says expand table, it goes into analysis mode, which has the table on the left-hand side, and it has the chat on the right-hand side, and then you can chat with your data. So for example, if I come here, click in here and put which is the most common state. Okay, and it will go through the data, it will parse out the state from the data, and it will answer the question for you. Okay, so it says that each state appears only once. Okay, so then I can even say population wise, which is the largest state. Okay, and so that we'll search that, and again, within the context of the data, it's going to search every one of the states that is in there. So if California is there, probably California will win, but then maybe New York will be the next one, or Texas, or whatever. So let's see what it answers. Is going through the analysis, and this right here is the code. So I mentioned earlier, if you want to see the code, it actually kind of shows you like its brain, like this is what it's working on at the moment, and this is what is processing prior to giving you the answer. So sometimes if you get angsty and you're kind of waiting for the answer, you can see that it's doing things right there on the where it says analyzing. Okay, so interesting. So I said it seems the extracted dates are not matching abbreviations. You needed it. Well, that's interesting. In this case, maybe it just errored out. So this is actually a common thing. It'll kind of get stuck. Maybe it didn't find it, and then it actually went in there and checked it. So it says, the state with the largest population among the generated data is Texas. So I'm hoping Texas is here somewhere Doesn't seem to be. And one of the interesting things that you can do is you can say, really, I don't see Texas. I don't see Texas here. Okay. And what's interesting about it is sometimes you kind of do have to challenge ChatGPT and say, hey, what made you think that even Texas was there? Oh, okay. It says Texas is there twice. That's interesting. It isn't. So ChatGPT, you're embarrassing me. ChatGPT, you're embarrassing me. Anyway, it says that it does appear, but it doesn't appear. So I'm not sure exactly what is doing with that. Anyway, so let's do something maybe easier, something with the dollar amount. So we can say here, what is the average? And by the way, when people say ChatGPT hallucinates, that's kind of what they mean. Like sometimes, ChatGPT will do weird things when it comes to says they can't find the data or whatever. So here's the average balance. Another really cool thing that they added recently to ChatGPT is called predictive chat. So now ChatGPT, what it's doing, it's predicting what might be your next question. So what might be your next question? So the next question could be show balances group by state, or it could be generate 20 more records of data. So it's just guessing, maybe that's what the human wants to do next. Okay, and obviously it's going to be learning from your habits, from your context, and assume what you want to do next. So I'm going to click on generate 20 more records. So I'll go in there and generate 20 more records, and it will expand this table. Okay. So here's 20. So now it's got a lot more. Look, it got smart this time. This is actually interesting. I wasn't even planning for this. It actually noticed that you're asking a lot of questions about states. So this time around, it actually separated the state, and I didn't even tell it to do that. It separated the state because it said, you know what? Maybe if I separate the state, it'll be easier for me to give a much better answer with this. So let's go back and maybe say create a. Oh, this is an interesting one. Create a pie chart for state distribution. So let's click on that. It actually suggested to do that, so we can see how it works with this data live. I know a lot of you thinking, Hector, I can do all this stuff in Excel. Like, why would I even bother doing this in ChatGPT? I think that's a very fair question to ask. I actually have no issue with the premise of the question, but what I want you to kind of like imagine, it's a world where you don't use Excel formulas. Like in the past, you have to know the Excel formula, you have to know the syntax in order to be able to do something, right? But now you no longer have to do that, or you're gonna just chat with it. You're gonna tell it what you want, and it's going to be able to do that. Let's say not in graph, just more like a pivot table or something like that. Let's see if it can even do that. So I wonder if it'll do something like that. So we'll let it do its thing, and then there we go, more like a pivot table. And then I can say sort by count ascending. Again, all of these things, and I know I misspelled ascending, but ChatGPT is very forgiving with my misspelling. So what's really interesting, let's do descending. Okay. Where I want to just kind of give you a visual of the future of this is you'll be working with a spreadsheet with Excel, but you won't be doing anything with your mouse. You would just be saying, analyze, give me this, give me this, give me that. Okay, so you kind of have to imagine a world where that's kind of what you're doing. And ChatGPT doesn't have a place for me to click on microphone and talk to it yet. The phone version has that, but with all sorts of browser extensions, you can shortcut yourself into talking to it. So you don't even have to type your questions. So it's really, really neat, really, really cool. Okay, I'm gonna show you one more thing here that's really interesting. Let me go back here to the slides. I want to show you this one in particular because this one's a lot of fun. So if you look at an image, a typical image that your client would give you, maybe something handwritten, and you can say, and you don't want to transcribe that into a spreadsheet yourself. So I have, something like this that my client gave me, a bunch of handwriting. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a picture of it with my phone or scan it. I probably already have it in my computer somewhere, but it'll probably be easier for me to just transfer it to my computer on the fly here to avoid any issues. So I'm going to take the actual picture or scan of something handwritten my client gave me, and I'm going to transfer that to my computer. Just give me 1 second, and I'm going to show you live what that would look like, because that's actually really interesting. So let's get out of analysis mode. Let's start a new chat here. I'm going to transfer this to my computer. Perfect. I'm going to click on the little paper clip here. I'm going to click on upload from computer, and I'm going to take the picture I just took. Literally a messy picture with a rip, with a fold, handwriting of something my client gave me with some information about some property that they had. So we'll bring that over. Okay, and then for some context, I'll just pull it up in the screen so you can see it. So this is what I took a picture of, right? So somebody wrote, their address, here in the corner somewhere, put 2024, rents received, a bunch of stuff handwritten here. And I uploaded that into ChatGPT, and I can say, put it in a clean table. Okay, and then you gotta let it do its thing. Okay, so it's gonna go in there, it's gonna process the image, it's gonna read it, it's gonna interpret it, it's going to analyze it, and then you just give it a few minutes. It will put this in a table for me. This is probably one of the most interesting examples that accountants are gonna just love, because it's very much transforms your relationship with the type of work that you do with your clients, that they give you this sort of things all the time. So let's go into analysis mode, and here is the stuff. Okay, so we can have it clean it up a little bit more. We can say, okay, so rents are income. Okay, the rest is expense. Give me a P&L. Okay, and then it'll start doing the analysis for you. Again, imagine a world where you're not like transcribing handwritten stuff from your clients. You're not going into spreadsheets, that you're not doing these things. You're literally just talking to the computer and having it do all this. Say break down the expenses by category. Again, and then we're gonna do a little bit more. We're gonna get a little bit more complex. So I kind of want to show you how cool ChatGPT can be when you actually start like experimenting. Like I've spent the last year and a half experimenting with ChatGPT, doing all sorts of like funky things here, and you're gonna see a couple of really interesting ones. For example, property tax 2 years. Okay, so I can say something like, "Will this be 100% deductible?" And it will probably, and I haven't tested this, but it will probably say, well, you know what? If it's 2 years worth, maybe just 1 year would be deductible or something like that. Okay, so like this is sort of the logic. Okay, so it says it will be 100% deductible because property taxes is. Let's see if it's paid and rental are deductible. Okay, so it says because they were paid maybe in cash basis. Okay, okay, I guess there may be some truth to that, or maybe not. I actually don't have time to get into that, but we can say just take half, okay? And then just take half, it'll go in there and it'll modify the data for me, and it'll only take half of that property tax, okay? So again, imagine a world where you're not manipulating spreadsheets. You are literally talking to the computer, and the computer's doing the work for you. This is why it's so exciting to start thinking about it this way. Now, let's go even further. We have mortgage, okay? So is mortgage 100% deductible? Probably not. So we can say, what about mortgage? Okay, you could have sworn I know how to spell mortgage correctly. So what about mortgage? Just the interest, this was at 7%, take a guess, or something like that. Okay, so now you're gonna really make ChatGPT sweat, okay? Because you don't have that much information. You don't have an amortization table. All you have is mortgage payments. But you can say, all I know is that this was a 7% interest rate on the mortgage. So it's gonna do tons of heavy math, and it's going to come up with whatever it thinks the interest can be. And then it actually is going to, I mean, I can ask it to break it down. Okay, so how did you come up with this value? How do you come up with this value? Where do you get $2,000 from? That's probably wrong anyway, by the way. But okay, so total mortgage amount. So it's going through its iteration. So this is wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna say no. I meant separate the interest from principal from the original amount. Guess based on 7% APR. Okay, so now I do have to give it a little bit of an explanation that it took the wrong approach. So it took the total amount and took 7% of that. Obviously, it misunderstood me, but it'll go in there and do calculations. So I'll try to sort of backtrack what would be a typical 7% mortgage payment and kind of separate these things for me. So we'll let it do its thing. While it does its thing, I'm just going to go through the slides here and just make sure I didn't miss anything that was on the slides that I wanted to discuss. So we talked about analyzing spreadsheets. I won't do the live example of this, but this is a screenshot of me actually telling it to generate a PowerPoint template for me. So in this case, I say, generate a PowerPoint of top 10 ways to save taxes for small businesses, and I'll build. It won't be highly formatted, but it'll build a PowerPoint for you. Or you can say, create a PDF document that shows, the tax law changes for 2024. Or what's probably one of the most interesting approaches to all this is upload a PDF bank statement or credit card statement and say, break these things down for me. I know there's great apps out there that do this, but it's going to be a world where all these things will be obsolete. You could take probably a purchase order or a bill that was given to you from a vendor and have it break things down that way. So let's just go back here for a second and see what it did in terms of figuring out the mortgage amount. So monthly payment, total payments over the year, interested. Okay, so I think this is wrong, by the way, but it matters which year they're in also. Obviously, I didn't give it that information. We can explore a little bit further and play with that. As a matter of fact, for the people watching live, I'll see, can I create a link? Okay, I can't create a link on this one because it has an image. So the ones that have an image, you can't create links for, I believe, because of privacy. So only the ones that don't have images you can do that with. But that gives you a general idea of what it can do. Pretty powerful stuff. Let's see if I can find a PDF credit card statement or something like that I may have laying around. I think I have one laying around from like an old credit card statement that I have here. So yeah, I have this one. So I got this bank statement. This is like a sample bank statement I use for my training. So I kind of show it to you here. So I got a sample bank statement. It's got some deposits. It's got some withdrawals. It's got some check information, that sort of thing. So I'm actually going to grab and paste this into ChatGPT, bring that bad boy in here, and then I'm going to say, make a CSV file with this. Also, I'm going to also read the check images, vendor names, and add them to the check lines. Okay, let's see if it can do this. I haven't tested this, but it's a beautiful thing about these live webinars, which is, we have a general idea what I want to teach, and we just kind of put it out there and show you live how this works in the real world. A lot of classes on ChatGPT, unfortunately, they kind of show you like best case scenario only type of thing. So I like to show you like what this looks like in the real world. Okay, let's see what this looks like. So it created some CSV files. So let's see what they look like. Okay, and here's a summary. So let's zoom that in because I know that's super small. Here's a summary. So this just grabbed basically the summary information. And then let's see what the check details say. Let's open those up. Let's bring those over. And this is pretty neat. Now, there wasn't any chicken scratch on these checks, right? So you could actually read the check images, the vendor names because they were typed, and the memos, so I would have to test this with actual real chicken scratch, typical check names, vendor names that get put on check. But this gives you a general idea. So I can say, okay, now that you have this, lay out a table that I can just import into QuickBooks with date, payee, and amount. Okay. So now he's done his analysis, and then I'm just saying, just put it on a table that I can maybe import into QuickBooks or whatever it is, right? Like whatever accounting software you use. Okay, so I only did the check. So let's do all transactions, please. Not just checks. Okay. So it kind of got stuck in, when I said read the check images, so I got stuck just in those. But you just go back and tell it, okay, I really meant all the transactions, not just the checks. Okay, so we'll let that let it do that. Let's just see what else we have in our slides. So make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, so everything in the chat, in the slides is going to be referential. Where to get help, where to get shortcuts. I have a long list of alternatives to ChatGPT if you want to explore other things that are AI type of chats are not ChatGPT. Tons of video resources and courses that you can take. Let's just go back and take a look at the final thing here. So here we go. This is my table. So here's all my deposits. Here's all my expenses. So I'm gonna say, give me a mock P&L with this data. Of course, a single bank statement is not enough to do P&L, but it will do the analysis for you. So, and like you start thinking about like what QuickBooks and other accounting software is going to do in the long run. This is what they're going to do, right? They're gonna be estimating, P&Ls for you just with bank statements, with bank feeds. So there's going to be the impression that AI can do everything an accountant can. And my suggestion to you generally is understand this stuff really, really well, because there will be a point in time that if you're an accounting professional and you don't know ChatGPT enough, you might be seen as irrelevant. You might be seen as you're not using the tools of today's time. So that's really important too. Okay. I pay for ChatGPT myself. As you can see, I pay for Claude. These are the two that I pay for. Sometimes if ChatGPT doesn't give me the information that I want, I go to Claude. I kind of go back and forth. I play around with the other ones. I do all the time play around with them. But the two that I use for serious work, so to say, would be ChatGPT and Claude. Okay, so last quick plug. So if you want to come hang out with me in South Florida, come to Reframe 2024. We're going to have a pre-conference day where we'll talk about ChatGPT in a live setting and other AI technology tools. And then the next 2.5 days will be all about improving our communication skills as accountants, individually, firms, and as a profession. Check us out at reframe2024.com. And once again, any questions you have about this ChatGPT course, anything that wasn't covered, email me and make sure you don't miss part 2. Now, the live slides actually contain all the stuff that's going to be talked in live in part 2, and that's going to go live June 10th. Okay, so make sure you register for that as well. With that being said, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, give it back to Jason from CP Academy so he can wrap it up. Thank you, everybody.